Welcome back to Roadside Rescue. I'm Ernest, and you might have noticed that I was using our old CRV in the last couple of videos. It's been popping up. Some people noticed. You noticed that dent right there? Ranger down, boys. Well, she got into a crash. I'll tell you what happened, and man, I've always talked about Utah driving is just sketchy. I was in the outside lane, somebody was turning left through traffic and just popped out right in front of me. Didn't have enough time to stop. Their airbags went off, but they drove their car out of there. This Ranger shut off and never turned back on. So let's take a look at the damage. I'll show you my new car that I got. I haven't talked about that yet. I'll tell you what I did to that, what I had to do to get that thing running. I got it in a trade and it took a lot of work to get fixed. I'm not sure what I'm gonna do about this Ranger yet, so make sure you're subscribed or stay tuned if you wanna know about that. And for the rest of this video, after we go over the damage on this truck, I'm gonna be installing a dash cam on our new vehicle because you need it in case of an accident like this. Liability driving around out here. First, it was important for me to get a dash cam that shoots in 4K. You really need 4K to pick up any sort of quality that's worth anything. But more importantly, this dash cam has parking monitoring, A800S, a bunch of other things that you can put on. Here's a video I picked up just the other day doing its parking monitoring while I was out getting some lunch. I guess it thought this guy was doing something sketchy. That's what you get for driving too nice of a truck. Alright, here's the dash cam I'm going to be installing. 70Mi is a brand I've used before. They sent this to me. I didn't pay for it, so I'll have a link in the description. So here's a look at the damage to that Ranger. I'm excited for the dash cam. 70Mi has industry-leading HD definition on their cameras, but not to mention it has 24-hour parking surveillance. It also has built-in GPS with A800S, so it'll track your speed and everything on road perfectly. And it also has emergency recording. Your videos won't get recorded over. That's always important. And yeah, you can see where the bumper was bent into the tire. I had to cut that too. Alright boys, that's it for the Ranger. We're in the parking lot where she just got hit. Somebody turned in front of me. Shouldn't be my fault. We'll see what the insurances think. This ain't going anywhere with the bumper like that, so I've got to cut it off and we're going to get this back to my place. And you probably won't see this on the road anymore. All right, let's go check out our new Ford. That's my wife's and kids' daily vehicle that they're driving around every day. Let's get a dash cam installed in that, I think. So I'm gonna try and wire that in completely. And I'll tell you what I did to that car. I had to get it running while I install that. Never wired one up, the hardwire kit. This one you can get with the hardwire kit. So again, that's my goal. Let's get this CRV out of here, pull the Ford in, and get that going. It's going to take a bit longer than just a normal dash cam install though, but this way it'll be on all the time. Most importantly though, it shoots in 4K, and that's what you really need in order to see license plates or anything like that. Anything less than that just doesn't cut it in my experience. You need a good 4K camera, bonus with a nice screen. Okay, so here's the new car I just got running, and I would be surprised if you can guess exactly what it is by looking at it without me telling you first, especially from the inside. So I just got this thing running and it took a ton of work. This is a Ford 500 and I had a customer who asked me if I could diagnose this vehicle. I had a few issues I was able to, I think, identify, or I thought identify. Turns out it had a much bigger issue. This dash cam looks great. It's got a nice big screen, so we're going to want to put this somewhere on the windshield where we're able to interact with it. With some dash cams, you might want to just hide it behind the rearview mirror or something. This one you're going to want to interact with and look at, so we're going to make sure to put that somewhere where it's useful. This car is useful now. I'm a little nervous for this hardwire kit. It came with that little sticky mat that you can put stuff on the dash. It won't slide off. That's nice. Should have had one of those a long time ago in my vehicles if I knew how nice they were. When I first got on this call out for this vehicle, it's been a few months now. It's been a couple months now. I was just trying to, and that might be this spot right there, diagnose it. It didn't have any fuel pressure and I replaced the fuel pump and it idled, and I said cool, and I left. But little did I know that it still wouldn't run the next time the customer tried to start it. So I went, and then it had a few codes for some random things: the fuel pressure sensor, the evap, MAF sensor, which is on the EGR recirculation system. It's weird. Oh, great. Super weird design on this car, the Ford Duratec. Nice, the wires go on this side, so I'm just gonna run them straight up to there. I think this is the spot. And I fiddled around with those sensors and stuff with the codes for a long time. I went through probably like 30 fuses. It was blowing a fuse after a while, and I could not figure it out. But it was weird because it would be in different spots at different times. So it was like almost intermittent, but it was almost always blowing a fuse. Okay, we got the wire to run that to the back. So this install of the camera itself is going to take me like 5 to 10 minutes. The hardwire is going to take a little bit longer, I'm thinking. Than 5 to 10 minutes. It's probably going to take like 20 to 45. So at that point I told him I think it was going to take like a few days of work to figure out and be a lot of money. And I thought it was probably a computer issue, and I told him it was going to be a lot of money. Well, on top of having a computer issue, it also had something else, and it would have been even more than I thought. This is definitely a project that would have turned into being beneficial for only somebody who fixed it themselves. It would have been a huge money pit. And I've never actually seen this problem before. I've heard about it, but I didn't know what it would actually do, and I finally learned, I think. That's just in view for the driver, up near this rearview mirror where it won't be in the way. So anyways, let's get this wired up, and let me tell you, speaking of wiring, what the main issue that caused all the issues was. Somebody will know better than I do, but the Ford 500 seems like the mini Crown Vic to me. It seems like a small little business car. First time I honestly even heard of one. When I was doing all the diagnosing and stuff though, I bought the wiring diagram for it. And that, I'm not gonna say saved me, but definitely came in handy. But it probably took me like a week, probably like 4 full days to figure out the exact issue. And maybe somebody who is familiar with Ford 500s is screaming at me through their screen right now, because there's a very commonly known area on the wiring harness that shorts out, that rubs out, and it wasn't that either. I mean, as far as a hardwire kit, it comes with the 128 gigabyte SD card, but this looks like the easiest one I've seen yet. This might be pretty easy to install. And then we've got our 2 micro USB power, and we've got our micro SD. I'll put that in. Let's see where a fuse box is. I believe those will do the trick. We're looking at this beautiful motor. I'm not going to come to the fuses up here. I think there will be a couple of good options up underneath the steering wheel that'll work. Here's that spot, if you can see in there, that normally rubs through and shorts out right there on that AC line. You can see where it was rubbing right past it, but it didn't rub all the way through. So I dug through there for a day. Thought, oh, maybe there's an issue. Should have just kept digging. But after I came back a day or two later, and I realized all of the sensors that were having an issue from the wiring diagram had a similar voltage path, I thought maybe it was something in there. So I actually just went the conventional route of, I'm going to tear up the whole wiring harness And I just started back here luckily, because at some point it's not that close to the brake fluid reservoir. Somebody got brake fluid all over the wires behind the motor. I've still got the wires, let me show you. Never seen this before, but I've heard you can't get brake fluid on wiring or paint. Look at these wires. Keep in mind, this wasn't the worst section, this was just the intact section that I kept. I cut it all the way down here. You could see where they were wet all the way down to there, and re-ran wires. See how they were like wet? See how they're still wet? But look, it looks like they were on a grill or something. That's where they were up against that wiring sheath. And then the further up you go where they were more and more wet, the worse it gets. You can see the wires were all melted together and they were all shorting out in there. That's what was blowing the fuses, killing computers. So after a week of work and a lot of energy and parts, and a few parts and a lot of energy, that thing finally got back on the road, and it definitely would have cost a little bit more than I even estimated. So what they did was ended up getting a different car, getting a hold of a different car, had a different car, and we just traded for a tune-up on that. So I did a timing belt and tune-up on their other car instead of paying them junkyard price for this one, and I spent way longer than I thought I was going to getting that running. Let's get this dash cam wired back in. Back end, let's going in for good. Some pretty sweet aluminum rims, some Envision universal rims. Runs good, brakes good. I'm gonna tune up the transmission, shifts just a little hard. But I did new gaskets and stuff while I was in there. I had this whole top of the motor taken apart in order to get to all that wiring back there. There you go. Yeah, a lot of wiring. Okay, the only thing I'm positive about, I'm gonna double check the manual, is that this black is ground. The red and the yellow I've got a wire in. And this is really cool. It has low power recognition, so it won't completely drain your battery. You can't just wire something straight into your battery. This has a controller built in. Okay, yeah, so we're gonna put red on one that has power. Could be that 20 amp, any of the ones over there, but that 20 amp I'll probably do. And then the one that's accessory power, the 10 amp beside that. All right, I'm just sealing everything up as best as I can. And then I'm even gonna put these shrink wrap on there to reinforce everything. Okay, just got those wired in. And that's the beauty of hardwiring it. You can take your key out and you're still monitoring. All right, last steps. Running this wire. I'm gonna hide it up in the trim over to here, and then we'll run the rear camera wire to the back as well. All right, now that I've got the rear camera installed,
switch to rear recording.
Look how good that looks. All right, let's take this thing on a spin and test it out. I'm excited to see the 4K footage. And this dash cam looks great. Again, it's in 4K quality, so you can see everything driving around town. This will give you a ton of safety. I think it's super important to have some recording of what's going on. Again, I've got first-hand experience on several occasions. I've even had people crash me on my bicycle out here. And look, there's even a crash on the way home. We got a ton of traffic. Here's a look out the back. And one last time out the front at nighttime. It even sees good in the dark. And thanks again to 70My for sending me a dash cam. If you want one like this or any of their other models, check out the link in the description for a great deal. Peace.